Sure, there's Puppy Pals, Vampirina, PJ Masks, and even Paw Patrol. And as a parent of a 2-year-old, I could argue that all of these shows teach my child something. Vampirina shows the inclusion of others and how to tolerate people that are not like you. And Puppy Pals, PJ Masks, and Paw Patrol all teach determination, teamwork, and problem solving. But are these shows actually educational shows for your child? One could differ. When I say educational, I mean these shows actually teach your child something. Today we will go over my top 5 educational shows for toddlers and preschoolers. And welcome to Educate Our Youth, where each week I go over tips, tricks, and strategies on parenthood, parent hacks, and just simply ways you can educate your child. If you're interested in any of those things, support me by liking this video and subscribing below. And don't forget to click those bell notifications, because that's the only way you'll get notified when I upload a new video. So I'm a mom of a 2-year-old, and like most moms, I'm really skeptical with what my child watches on a screen. So I don't just throw a screen in front of her. I want to watch and see what is my child actually learning and consuming. In doing this, I literally have watched so many shows, and now I'm here to share with you my top 5 educational shows that you can watch with your child. So we're going to do a countdown starting with number 5. So that means you must stay tuned to see what is the number 1 educational show out there. Coming in at number 5 is Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Now, a lot of us grew up on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and that's all Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood is. Basically, it's a spin-off of good old Mr. Rogers. Well, they took the tiger that we remember seeing in the little costume, and they turned him into an animated cartoon character. And he's on there with his family. He has very diverse friends, just like Mr. Rogers, so it teaches about diversity and the acceptance of others, and how our differences actually make us unique. Not only does it teach about diversity of others, but it also goes over problem-solving skills and ways to help others. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood even teaches phonemic awareness. In one episode, Daniel and his friends have a picnic, and when they sit down to eat, they start taking the fruit out of the basket, but they're taking the fruit out based on the initial sound. The first friend went to go get his fruit. He had to say, apple. And then he was able to get his apple. Banana. Then they take the banana out. Grapes. Then they take the grapes out. So Daniel the Tiger just taught your child phonemic awareness by having your child listen to the initial sound. Coming in at number 4 is Disney's own Doc McStuffins. When Doc McStuffins first came out, it was a huge movement in the African American culture, because our little girls now know that they can become what they want to when they grow up. They can become doctors or nurses. And Doc McStuffins was that first hero that they get to watch. But not only does it teach your child that, but it actually teaches your child how to take care of others and also safety tips. So Doc McStuffins is a little girl who's actually a secret nurse for stuffed animals. And each time the animals do something that's unsafe, they have to go see the doctor. And she goes outside to her little toy house, which is her doctor's office. And when she's in there, she's able to figure out exactly what's wrong with that stuffed animal and get them back to good health. So it literally teaches your child exactly how to take care of others. In the background of her doctor's office, you will see different shapes and colors and numbers, etc. But those are all in the background. Well, there was one episode that I watched that she went over how to avoid sharp objects and how to be careful and what you should do when you get hurt. You need to tell an adult. Also, there was another episode where she goes over safety tips of riding a bike. So you must wear your helmet, and the toy couldn't wear its helmet, and so that she had to fix the helmet so that the helmet could go on the toy, because you can't ride a bike without a helmet. Coming in at number 3 is Nick Jr.'s Blue's Clues for You. Yes, you heard right. Blue's Clues just rebooted its very own Blue's Clues for You show. And instead of having good old Steve with his notepad, they have replaced him with Josh. And he has a notepad on one side and an iPhone on the other. In each episode, Josh has to find out exactly what Blue wants. And he does this through 3 clues. He writes down those 3 clues on his notepad because he has to put them together and figure out exactly what Blue is trying to tell him. him. Not only does Blue's Clues go over problem solving skills and solving puzzles, but it also teaches educational things to your child. Such as in one episode, they go over measuring and opposites. Salt and Pepper wanted to make a race car made out of fruits and vegetables. Salt wanted a big race car and Pepper wanted a small race car, and they had to measure to find out what the largest vegetable was and what the smallest vegetable was, because large and small are opposites. Each time they had to find other things to put on the race car, they had to go over what the opposites were. And your child got to learn that the opposite of large was small. And that's just one example of how Blue's Clues and You goes beyond just basic problem solving, but they really teach your child about reasoning and educational skills. Alright, so coming in at number 2 is good old Sesame Street. You guys, I don't know how Sesame Street does this, but Sesame Street revamps itself with every generation. And in every generation, it is hands down one of the most educational shows for you and your child. Like Blue's Clues, Sesame Street also had to include technology in its everyday programming. One example of how Sesame Street relates to your child is through Elmo's world. When Elmo wants to know something that he doesn't know, he gets his phone and he looks it up on Google and finds the answer. That teaches children how to be resourceful, because any question that you may have, the answer is right there at your fingertips. Elmo also teaches about the ABCs. And of course, Sesame Street still goes over the letter of the day. And with the letter of the day, Sesame Street accompanies that letter with its very own song. And in that song, your child can work on phonemic awareness by hearing other words that begin with that same initial sound. So for example, when the letter of the day is B, they actually have a song that goes over bubbles and boy and balls. And as the children begin to hear b, 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 they learn that b, b, b is the sound of B. And on every episode, you still have the number of the day, where Count goes over the number of the day. And Count does not sing that old Count song, but it's a new song that gets your child stomping. And if the number of the day is 14, then guess how many times your child has to stomp? 14 times. And they get to stand up and they start stomping with Count. And this also brings in gross motor skills such as stomping and running in place, and gets kids active while they watch TV. So Sesame Street is definitely the show that I would turn on to teach my child phonics and numbers. Drum roll please, because coming in at number 1 is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Sure, there's various versions of Mickey Mouse on Disney, but I am talking about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. You know, the good old hot dog, hot diggity dog. I know you're wondering, how is Mickey Mouse more educational than Sesame Street? Well, let me tell you. So Disney stepped up when they made Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Mickey Mouse has probably become my favorite show to watch with my 2-year-old, because it really teaches and challenges your child. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse gives your child a really strong foundation on number sense. Each episode has good old Toodles that goes over objects that Mickey Mouse used in order to solve a problem throughout the story. And this teaches your child problem solving skills. Absolutely. And it also allows them to use creativity. I've watched numerous episodes on them comparing objects. Every episode, your child is counting, they are using their number sense, they are arranging numbers in order. There was one episode I watched where all the pieces of the clock fail, and they had to go over and find the odd numbers and the even numbers and put them in order. And then they had to sequence all of the odd and all of the even numbers together so they can put them on the clock, numbers 1 through 12. One episode even went over halves and fourths. You guys, that's fractions. I even saw one episode where they used the measuring beam to see how many stamps they needed in order to mail off Donald's present. Okay, you can tell I watched the show a lot. In one episode, they went over how many sheep they had and how many goat. So they had to count the number of sheep, which was 6, and count that they had 1 goat. And then they had to figure out how many animals they had in all. The key word in all your child will learn in first grade means that we are adding or combining 6 and 1. But of course, as a toddler, they just learn how to count all the objects together. And if your child can master that concept at 2 and 3, they are going to be successful when they are 6 and 7. I have literally watched Mickey Mouse develop number sense with children. This show truly teaches the cognitive mathematical skills that your child will need in order to understand conceptual and abstract math in the Common Core curriculum. curriculum. Pretty much all the things that we've talked about all these other shows do, such as taking care of others, problem solving, being a good sin, teaching right from wrong, Mickey Mouse does that and more. So that is why Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is by far my #1 pick of the top educational show that you should show your child. If you have an iPad or iPhone, I strongly suggest for you to watch Learning Coding Through Scratch Junior, or even my top 6 free Fisher Price apps that I recommend. Now that you have 5 educational shows to watch with your child, go ahead and like this video. Well, see you next week.